Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 110 based on novel. So let's start. The symbol above the array slowly disappeared. Wang Lin walked out of the array and calmly looked around before his gaze landed on Xu Yunshan. Xu Yunshan's eyes narrowed before he let out a laugh and asked, "You Wang Lin, the All-Seer's disciple?" Wang Lin's expression was calm as he clasped his hands. "I am." "Sir is?" Xu Yunshan smiled and said, "I'm the junior sect master of the Xian Yuan sect of Earth planet. I'm here to do my duty as a host. Brother Wang, please don't refuse." "Then I'll bother Brother Xu." Wang Lin faintly smiled. This Xu Yunshan's cultivation level was the same as his mid-stage of soul transformation. He left the Heavenly Fate sect because he wanted a quiet place to cultivate. There was too much competition and fighting at the Heavenly Fate sect, so it was not suited for cultivation. He had just arrived on the planet and couldn't simply refuse his host's hospitality. Xu Yunshan laughed and talked the entire way. After telling Wang Lin about the situation on the planet, he arranged a very beautiful and peaceful place for Wang Lin to stay. After setting their meeting time tomorrow, Xu Yunshan left. The environment here was very graceful and quiet. Wang Lin went inside the room, opened the window, and looked outside. Delicate flowers covered the area and were all competing with each other to bloom. Wang Lin opened the door and slowly walked through this flower garden. The most important thing right now is to raise my cultivation level. Although I have been away from planet Suzaku for a few years now, Torsen is still like a sword hanging above my head. He can leave the land of ancient god at any time, and when he does, he will definitely come for me. Wang Lin frowned. The matter with Torsen was like having a fishbone stuck in his throat. It was like an invisible whip that forced him to continue cultivating so that he could continue to survive. While looking at the beautiful flowers in the garden, Wang Lin began to ponder. Celestial slaughter art. I was able to study it for a bit on the way here. It is indeed an exquisite art. To use life force seals to protect my body can indeed create a powerful defense. The heaven-defying bead is still missing the metal element for it to be complete. The matter of getting metal element is another thing I need to resolve as soon as possible. Sichu Nan thinks that the heaven-defying bead will only recognize an owner after the 5 elements are complete. At that moment, will it finally be able to show its real power? However, he doesn't know what kind of power the heaven-defying bead has for the Cultivation Alliance to fight over it. I wonder how things are going on planet Suzaku. Wang Lin raised his head to look into the void. His gaze seemed to travel an unfathomable distance and landed on the far-away planet Suzaku. After staying at the Xian Yuan sect for 2 days, Xu Yunshan guided Wang Lin to the rank 5 cultivation country of Ling Yu. In these 2 days, Xu Yunshan was a good talker. After making an effort to get to know Wang Lin, they got along well. The country of Ling Yu already knew that a core disciple of the Purple Division was being sent as the messenger. The entire country put this as top priority and had everything prepared to greet the messenger. At the border of Ling Yu, Xu Yunshan faintly smiled and said, "Brother Wang, this is the rank 5 cultivation country of Ling Yu. This country isn't very big, it only has 4 sects. But this country produces a lot of spirit items and is very famous on this planet." Wang Lin nodded. The two of them moved very fast as they passed the border and quickly entered the country of Ling Yu. At the center of Ling Yu, there was a heaven-ascending tower. This was where all the messengers lived. There were more than 100 cultivators standing outside the tower, waiting for the arrival of the messenger. Not long after, 2 rays of light came from the horizon, breaking the sound barrier. At this moment, the people at the foot of the tower all raised their heads. When the 2 rays of light closed in, the cultivators at the foot of the tower respectfully said, "The cultivators of Ling Yu greet the Heavenly Fate sect's Lord Messenger and the Xian Yuan sect's Junior Sect Master." Xu Yuanshan laughed and said, "I'll say goodbye now. If I have time in the future, we can drink and talk again." With that, Xu Yunshan flew off into the distance. After Xu Yunshan left, Wang Lin was the only one left in the sky. He floated in the air and calmly looked at the people below him. Among the more than 100 cultivators here, 10 of them were at the highest cultivation level, the late stage of soul transformation. Everyone else's cultivation levels were a bit low. Among these people, one of them caught Wang Lin's attention. This person had a head of white hair and looked very old. He was the one with the highest cultivation level here. He was basically half a step into the ascendant stage. Wang Lin slowly descended and landed at the base of the tower. He didn't let those cultivators before him speak before calmly saying, "Although I'm the messenger, I won't bother you with anything, keep doing what you were doing before. I'm going to go into closed-door cultivation, so no one is allowed within 5,000 kilometers of here." The surrounding cultivators were all startled, but all of these cultivators had lived for a long time and were all as sly as foxes. After the initial startle, they all quickly responded and scattered. The old man who was half a step into the ascendant stage carefully looked at Wang Lin before leaving. The cultivators beside the old man quickly followed him. In an instant, the base of the tower was devoid of anyone beside Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was normal as he waved his sleeves and walked into the tower. Once he was inside, he sat down in the lotus position and slapped his bag of holding to take out the restriction flag. With one shake of the flag, countless strands of black gas charged out of the tower and covered the surrounding 5,000 kilometers. The surrounding 5,000-kilometer area was suddenly covered in a black fog and gave off a gloomy aura. After finishing all of this, Wang Lin pondered a bit before hitting his forehead with his palm and spitting out a 30-foot-long flag. Although the 1 billion soul flag had lost most of its soul fragments, there were still several primary souls left. Wang Lin shook the flag, causing the primary souls to be released into the black fog to increase protection. He released every primary soul except for the Chilean soul fragment, because that wouldn't be convenient to release. After doing all of this, Wang Lin took a deep breath, then he waved his hand and a jade appeared. This jade was completely grey. It was the one that the grey-robed Allseer gave him, the Celestial Slaughter Art. Celestial Slaughter Art. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then his divine sense entered the jade. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 1 month went by. In this past month, none of the sects of Ling Yu could figure out this new messenger. Normally, when a messenger came, they would demand spirit stones and celestial jades. In order to avoid trouble, they would always give them some. This had basically become a tradition. But now this person who came from planet Tianyun and was even the disciple of the Allseer didn't leave the tower for an entire month. The surrounding area was also covered in a black fog, causing normal people to not dare to take one step into the area. There were some soul transformation cultivators who wanted to enter to see what was going on, but after going 1,000 feet deep into the fog, they all quickly retreated with ugly expressions. The new messenger gradually became more mysterious in the eyes of the cultivators of Ling Yu. At this moment, inside the tower, Wang Lin was still sitting in the lotus position. He looked exactly the same as he did 1 month ago. He spent this entire month of studying the contents of the jade. The Celestial Slaughter Art was, in fact, a life force seal, meaning it was not something that could easily be comprehended. Wang Lin's talent was already not very good, and the Celestial Slaughter Art was very complex. He could only slowly think about it and carefully experiment to gradually master it. Wang Lin knew that he couldn't rush this. Time continued to pass and another half a month went by. Not only did the cultivators of Ling Yu not lose interest in this messenger, they became even more interested. This was because there was a change in the black fog surrounding the tower. In the first month, it was quiet, but in the last half-month, there were loud whistling sounds. It was as if there were many flying swords flying back and forth through the area. There were also thunderous roars that could shake the heavens coming out from the black fog. This made all of the cultivators of Ling Yu even more curious. Finally, the old man who was half a step into the ascendant stage stood up and took a trip to the tower. 3 days later, the old man came back. His expression was very ugly and his eyes were filled with shock. After he came back, all of the sects sent out a message saying that no disciple is allowed within 5,000 kilometers of the tower, or else they would be punished as a traitor. As a result, the area 5,000 kilometers around the tower became a forbidden zone in Ling Yu. Wang Lin spent the entire month and a half studying the Celestial Slaughter Art. This art depended on slaughter, so the more one killed, more seals would stack on top of each other. Once the seals stack to a certain point, it will become the strongest defense in the world. However, this art was very difficult to cultivate. After 1.5 months of time, Wang Lin still couldn't find the essence to it and finally decided to give up on it for now. Instead, he decided to comprehend the heavens so that he could continue to refine his current spells. During that time, he encountered a backlash from the war chariot. This was the first backlash after he released the first seal. Wang Lin was already prepared for this, and after battling with the beast for several days, he used a secret spell to suppress it. The spirit beast's backlash failed. The old man from Ling Yu entered the area during that time and personally saw the unyielding spirit beast. After suppressing the war chariot, Wang Lin silently cultivated for several days. On this day, he suddenly opened his eyes, and his eyes showed signs of enlightenment. The celestial slaughter art should be comprehended amidst slaughter. Trying to comprehend it by just sitting here is a bit lacking. If I really want to cultivate this art, then everything must start with slaughter. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then he stood up, took one step, and stepped directly out of the tower. Wang Lin was floating 10,000 feet above the tower. With eyes bright as torches, he raised his right hand and all the black fog began rushing toward him. It looked like the black fog was being pushed from its outer rim toward Wang Lin. The sky and clouds changed color. Roaring thunder echoed from within the clouds. These thunderous roars spread out and echoed across all of Ling Yu. In almost the blink of an eye, all of the black fog within 5,000 kilometers gathered in his hand in the form of a ball the size of a baby's head, and it had lightning running through it. The ball was filled with fog and flashes of the restrictions. There was also a powerful pressure coming out of it as it flickered. Wang Lin squeezed his hand and the flashing restriction inside suddenly collapsed and turned into countless strands of black gas which started to circle around him. Finally, the strands of black gas intertwined before him to form a golden-purple flag. The flag waved without any wind and created bursts of flapping sounds. At this moment, the surrounding 5,000-kilometer area was clear, but there were still some roars coming from the void, and flashes of black shadows could be seen. Primary souls, return. Wang Lin opened his mouth and the primary souls rushed back into it and then to the soul flag inside his origin soul. While I'm cultivating the celestial slaughter art, I might as well refine the soul flag too. Then my chance of survival on planet Tianyun will increase. Also, Master wants me to go to the Eastern Demon Sea in 3 months. Now I only have 1.5 months left. Should I go or not? Wang Lin's divine sense spread across Ling Yu before his body turned into smoke and disappeared. Ling Yu, 5 Spirit Mountain. The number 1 cultivator in Ling Yu, the old man who was half a step into the ascendant stage, was Old Man Tiantai of 5 Spirit Mountain. He was currently sitting at the top of 5 Spirit Mountain, absorbing the power of the moon, and cultivating. Old Man Tiantai opened his eyes. They were calm as he looked at the void and slowly said, "Old Man Tiantai greets Lord Messenger." A ray of purple light appeared in the void as Wang Lin appeared. He clasped his hands at Old Man Tiantai and said, "Sorry to bother you." Old Man Tiantai took a deep breath and shook his head. It was I who was rude. If I didn't break the rule and enter the area last time and surprised that unyielding beast, I believe Lord Messenger would have had an easier time taming it. No problem. Wang Lin's gaze was calm as he looked at Old Man Tiantai. This old man had already reached Dao-seeking part of the path to the ascendant stage. This was a very important stage for any late-stage soul transformation cultivator. It was a matter of life and death. One can be seeking Dao in the morning and be dead by night. The old man slightly closed his eyes and said, with a deep voice, "Since Lord Messenger isn't here about me entering the area, then what is Lord Messenger looking for an old man who is half a step into the grave for?" Wang Lin looked at the distance and slowly said, "Does this planet have any demonic beast-gathering grounds?" Old Man Tiantai's eyes became serious and he began to ponder. Shortly after, he waved his hand and a jade suddenly appeared. He said, "Lord Messenger, there are 3 demonic beast-gathering grounds on the planet, and they are recorded here." After accepting the jade, Wang Lin swept it with his divine sense. He nodded toward the old man before disappearing without a trace. Old man Qian Tai looked at where Wang Lin disappeared before slowly closing his eyes and muttering to himself, "This child is filled with brewing killing intent, his trip this time is to kill. I hope that no one offends him along the way." At the northern end of planet Earth, there are dense mountains that cover millions of kilometers. That place is a gathering ground for demonic beasts. There are even desolate beasts as powerful as ascendant cultivators there. That place is also where all the disciples on the planet test themselves. However, the 300,000-kilometer area at the center is considered a forbidden area and one shouldn't casually enter it. Wang Lin put the jade away, then he locked onto the direction he wanted to go, waved his right hand in the air, and a silver light suddenly appeared before him. Wang Lin began taking steps inside the silver light. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. As if he were walking up a flight of stairs, he took 10 steps in a row. 10 steps was what he could currently withstand to teleport at once. After 10 steps, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his body flickered. At this moment, his body began to flash violently. Finally, there was a thunderous roar, and once the sound disappeared, there was no one there anymore. A large amount of silver light suddenly appeared in the clear sky in the northern part of the planet. The clear, blue sky began to change as ripples silently appeared and began to spread. After a few breaths of time, there was a bright flash of silver light at the center of the ripples. The brightness of the silver light could match the sun. It was as if there were 2 suns, one golden and one silver. Wang Lin's figure stepped out from the silver light. His face was a bit pale, and his breathing was a bit heavy. Only after he took out a pill and ate it did he slowly start to feel better. After he appeared, the silver light slowly disappeared and the change in the sky slowly returned to normal. Wang Lin didn't stop. He turned into a ray of light and charged toward the dense mountain range ahead of him. The ground before him was no longer an earthy yellow, it now had a layer of blue, ghostly light above it. There was a giant stone tablet that someone had placed into the ground with a powerful spell. There were several large, red words filled with killing intent carved onto the tablet. Earth Northern Demonic Lands. These 4 large words gave off a powerful aura that seemed to come at you like a tidal wave. The aura caused the surroundings to have a constant gust of wind that whistled on endlessly. As Wang Lin stood under the giant tablet, he raised his head and silently looked at it for a long time. There was a thin layer of mist behind the tablet, but it didn't conceal anything. If one looked carefully or spread out their divine sense, they would clearly see what was there. There was an endless stretch of mountain ranges behind the tablet. There were no roads, the ground was covered in leaves, and the air was filled with a rotting smell. Aside from this, the area was completely silent and without a sign of life. Even though it was daytime, there was a very cold aura coming out from the ground and spreading across the area. Wang Lin carefully looked at it for a while. After pondering a bit, he raised his foot and stepped toward the mountain range. The celestial slaughter art must be experienced during slaughter. Today I'll use this place to begin my cultivation of the celestial slaughter art. Just at this moment, several rays of sword energy appeared in the horizon. These sword energies were of all different bright colors and were emitting powerful energy. It was clear that none of these people had weak cultivation. "Senior apprentice brother, we are here." Before the sword energy closed in, a voice came from one of them. Wang Lin's stride didn't even slightly pause because of the appearance of these people. He continued to step into the mountain range and his figure disappeared into the thin layer of mist. Shortly after his figure disappeared, several rays of sword energy landed before the tablet, revealing 5 people. Among the 5, 3 were male and 2 were female. Their clothes were clearly divided into 2 different styles, and all 5 of them were dressed well, were good-looking, and had powerful auras. Of the 2 females, one of them was wearing a red dress and had a beauty mark above her mouth. She softly said, "Senior apprentice brother, I think I just saw someone enter this area." This girl didn't look very old, but her cultivation level was at the late stage of core formation. Among the 3 males, there was one who was very good-looking and middle-aged. He was wearing a green and white robe, his hair was tied up with simple, black belt, and he had an ordinary sword on his back. After he heard the girl, he faintly smiled and said, "This is not a forbidden place, and a lot of different people from different sects come here to train, so there is nothing strange about seeing other people here. Once Uncle Master and them arrive, we will go inside together. At that time, all the cultivators we meet will avoid us, so you don't have to worry about it. Another one of the males among the three, who looked like he was 20 or so years old and was wearing a blue robe, smiled and said, "That's right. Brother Guo belongs to the Da Lu Sword sect, which is one of the top 2 sects on planet Chen Yun. Even if he meets disciples of the Heavenly Fate sect, if they are too weak, they will still avoid him. There is no need to talk about the small sects on planet Earth." As for the remaining male and female, they were both silent, they didn't say a word. The woman even showed a hint of hatred when she looked at the three, especially toward the man named Guo, and her hatred wasn't hidden at all. In terms of appearance, this woman was considered the prettier of the two. She was wearing a white, cotton dress. On her waist she used a light blue silk ribbon to tie an elegant bow, and there was a rose hairpin on her silky, ink-black hair. Her skin was as smooth and flawless as jade without any need for makeup, and if it wasn't for the hatred on her face, she would be even more beautiful. The man named Guo faintly smiled. He didn't seem to care about the woman at all and softly said, "Lady Qian, you can relax. I promise to leave one brilliant golden fruit for you, enough for you to bring back to your sect." The woman named Qian's face was filled with killing intent as she stared at the man named Guo and coldly said, "Even with how famous the Da Luo Sword sect is, I can't believe you would use such despicable methods. I'm truly blind to have believed in you." The man named Guo shook his head and said, "If one has the luck, anyone can obtain these heavenly treasures. The brilliant golden fruit is of great use to my Uncle Master. Since you asked me for help, then I must report it to my sect." Wang Lin's figure moved inside this mountain range like lightning and his eyes became cold. Da Lu Sword sect, interesting. This will be a good chance to try to find some information on Senior Ju Yi's location. I just don't know what that brilliant golden fruit is. 3 hours later under the stone tablet, 3 rays of light came from the horizon. They were followed by a series of thunderous sonic booms. These 3 rays of light descend from the sky with the pressure of a 10,000-man army. They landed directly next to the 7 people waiting beneath the stone tablet. Following the thunderous roar, their landing created a gust of wind that blew everyone but the man named Guo back several feet. Their faces were all extremely pale and filled with fear. After the gust passed, 3 figures were revealed. All 3 of them were white-haired old men, and a powerful sword energy could be felt from underneath each of their black robes. Each one of them had a treasure sword that gave off waves of sword pressure on their backs. Among the 3, only one person was at the late stage of soul formation, the other 2 were at the early stage of soul transformation. Once the man named Guo saw the 3 of them, his heart trembled. He immediately bowed and respectfully said, "6th generation disciple Guo Xingyi greets Uncle Master." The person he bowed to was the only soul formation cultivator among the 3. Guo Xingyi's expression was extremely respectful. The soul formation old man smiled, nodded, and said, "Guo Xingyi, come and greet the 2 sword pavilion elders." He moved to the side and gave Guo Xingyi a look. Guo Xingyi quickly kneeled down on one knee and said, with even more respect than before, "Disciple greets elders." One of the 2 early-stage soul transformation old men was short and the other one was tall. The tall one said, "Stand up and speak. Was the brilliant golden fruit found by you?" Guo Xingyi quickly got up, then he pointed at the woman, Qian, who still hadn't said a word and simply looked at him with a cold gaze. "This woman is Junior's good friend. The brilliant golden fruits were found by her sect, but there were demonic beasts guarding them, and they couldn't obtain them with their power. Junior just happened to pass by and agreed to go with them." The 2 soul transformation elders looked at each. The short one asked, "Little girl, how many brilliant golden fruits did you see?" Qian originally wasn't willing to speak, but under the old man's lightning-like gaze, she couldn't help but softly say, "There are about 100 fruits." 100. The short old man's eyes suddenly lit up and he said, "The demonic beasts guarding 100 brilliant golden fruits must be extremely powerful. For your sect to find it, they aren't simple." Qian didn't speak, but the white-robed man beside her said, with indignation, "My sect expended a lot of effort and sacrificed several elders to find the brilliant golden fruits. Your Da Lu sword sect. Qian Qin frowned and shouted, "Shut up." The man's face was filled with anger. He took a deep breath, turned his head, and no longer spoke. Guo Xingyi hesitated for a bit before respectfully saying, "Lord Elder, Qian Qin is Junior's good friend. After obtaining the brilliant golden fruits, would it be possible to give her one?" The tall old man laughed and said, "If we can find them, then we'll give her one. Lead the way." Qian Qin let out a sigh and held some complex feelings in her heart. She had no choice but to lead the way, or else it would affect her sect. With how tyrannical the Da Luo sword sect was, anyone that dared to go against them would be wiped out. Not to mention the fact that just these two elders here gave off an aura that was several times more powerful than the head elder of her sect. Compared to the Da Lu sword sect, her sect was like a firefly, they stood no chance of resisting. Guo Xingyi, to abuse my trust, Qian Qin felt bitter in her heart. She gave Guo Xingyi a vicious look before clenching her jaw and walking into the Earth Northern demonic lands. The white-robed man that belonged to the same sect as her followed with a gloomy expression. The people of the Da Luo sword sect walked into the thin mist and disappeared. Wang Lin was making his way through the Earth Northern demonic land. He had his hands behind his back and his feet were 3 inches off the ground as he flew through the area. He was still comprehending the various changes in the celestial slaughter art and how to change life force into a life force seal. The surrounding mountain range was completely silent without any sign of life. As he was flying, a ghostly light flashed a bit before him, then a figure suddenly shot out of hiding and charged at Wang Lin. The figure's speed was too fast, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived before him. It was surrounded by a layer of black fog and a bloody smell rushed toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's body didn't stop, his expression didn't even change. At the moment the black figure closed in, he rubbed his right hand's fingers and pointed at it. He directly stabbed his finger into the black fog. A ray of grey gas came out from Wang Lin's fingertip. However, this grey gas was extremely weak, so right after it appeared, a majority of it disappeared. Not much grey gas had entered the black figure. A sizzling sound suddenly came out from the black fog, it was as if snow was melting. The black fog boiled until it finally dissipated, revealing a fist-sized beast. This small beast didn't have any limbs, only a big mouth. There were no teeth, but a sour smell came from within its mouth. The spit of this beast was clearly very powerful. At this moment, Wang Lin's finger directly stabbed into the small creature's body. He moved his finger around, causing the small beast's body to shatter into pieces and disappear. Wang Lin withdrew his finger and continued to move. As he withdrew his finger, strands of grey gas came from the shattered remains of the small beast and circled around his finger. The celestial slaughter art harvests life force during slaughter. I just don't know if what I have between my fingers is life force. Wang Lin lowered his head to look at the grey gas around his finger. After pondering for a bit, he continued flying. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin moved very quickly but didn't go too deep into the area. He had his divine sense spread out and locked onto the people of the Da Luo sword sect. Their every move was clearly seen by Wang Lin's divine sense, they could hide nothing. Wang Lin wanted to see what exactly this brilliant golden fruit was. He also wanted to use the people of the Da Luo sword sect, especially those 2 soul transformation old men, as practice for his celestial slaughter art. Even now Wang Lin didn't have any goodwill toward the Da Luo sword sect. Right now, as Wang Lin flew through the mountain range, the grey gas around his fingers was several times thicker than before. The strands of grey gas were like strings that quickly circled Wang Lin's fingers. There was no lack of demonic beasts here in the Earth Northern demonic land, however, none of them were a threat to Wang Lin. If it wasn't for his desire to see what that brilliant golden fruit was, Wang Lin would have already gone deeper into the area to practice the celestial slaughter art with the powerful creatures. On this day, Wang Lin withdrew his finger from the head of a bull that had the power of a soul formation cultivator. At the moment he withdrew his finger, a thick stand of grey gas came out from the bull's forehead and circled his finger. The bull's body trembled and its gaze slowly faded until it fell down and remained motionless. Just at this moment, a ray of black lightning came from the distance. Along with a fierce roar, the mosquito's ferocious body appeared next to Wang Lin. Its large mouth stabbed into the bull's head, and with one suck, it sucked all the blood, flesh, essence, and the core of the bull. Only the bull's skeleton was left on the ground. After the mosquito beast finished sucking, a white light appeared around it. After flashing a few times, the white light disappeared, causing the terrifying hair on the mosquito beast to look even more fierce. The mosquito beast was very happy and began to fly in circles before Wang Lin. Along the way, every time Wang Lin killed a soul formation or above beast, he would call out the mosquito beast so it could absorb the beast's essence and core in order to stimulate the mosquito's growth. If it wasn't for the fact that the thunder toad wasn't suited for this method of growth, he would have released the thunder toad as well. The mosquito was, after all, a beast from the stars. Although it appeared on planet Suzaku for some reason back then, its ferocity was not something a beast from a cultivation planet could match. This beast lived to devour. It could devour any kind of beast in the world, and the more it devours, the stronger it becomes. After it started following Wang Lin, it had devoured countless pills, heavenly treasures, cores, and the like. Although its strength was still at the nascent soul stage, even some soul formation beasts would be affected by its ferocity. Wang Lin's body moved forward and floated in the air. Then the mosquito let out a roar and moved. It moved like lightning and appeared below Wang Lin's feet, then it brought Wang Lin deep into the mountain range. As it flew, Wang Lin noticed something. The mosquito beast also noticed it and immediately stopped. It remained motionless as it waited for Wang Lin's order. Wang Lin looked toward the south, revealed a smile, and muttered to himself, "Did they find the brilliant golden fruit?" With a thought, the mosquito moved toward the south without a sound. It was like a ghost tonight. However, its eyes were filled with bloodlust and lit up like a ghostly flame. Wang Lin paid attention to the changes happening to the mosquito beast in these past few days. The mosquito beast seemed to be at a critical stage and was about to make a breakthrough. Every time the mosquito devoured the essence and core of a beast, there would be flashes of white light around it, just like when it devoured those white lines from the chaotic broken stars. Looking at the ghostly light in the mosquito's eyes, an image suddenly appeared inside Wang Lin's mind. On a certain large planet, there were countless mosquito beasts that covered the entire sky. Their gazes were all bright like ghostly flames. The people of the Da Luo sword sect moved quickly. They didn't make any stops and charged toward their destination following Qian Qin's guidance. Along the way, if any beast appeared, the two soul transformation elders would only need to send out a seal and the beast would be turned to dust. Their power was beyond Qian Qin's comprehension. Her own sect spent a lot of effort to get here, and seeing the beasts that gave her sect so much trouble destroyed so easily made her heart feel bitter. At this moment, she thought that this was all fate. If she could get just one fruit out of this trip, that would be enough. As for Guoxingyin, he was very caring and kept trying to talk to Qian Qin along the way. He was clearly trying to repair the relationship between them. After experiencing the power of the Da Lu sword sect, she could only feel helpless and feign ignorance while enduring the humiliation. Along the way, Guoxingyin's uncle master kept looking at Qian Qin's voluptuous body, and his eyes revealed a mysterious light. The group was very relaxed because even if some powerful demonic beasts showed up, the two soul transformation elders would easily take care of them. But in truth, after entering this place, the ones who were most nervous were the two Da Lu sword sect elders. This wasn't the first time the two of them had entered the Earth Northern demonic land, but this time was the most bizarre. At the beginning, when they first entered, they didn't have this feeling, but as they went deeper, a pressure that could cause someone to completely break down slowly surrounded the area. This kind of feeling might have been too faint for the others to feel, but for the two early-stage soul transformation elders of the Da Lu sword sect, this feeling was very strong. It was as if there was a pair of eyes watching them, but when they tried to check with their divine senses, they found nothing. It was like everything was just their own imagination. We haven't gone deep into the mountains, so there shouldn't be any desolate beasts around here. Why is this feeling so clear? Although the two elders looked very calm, they were nervously talking to each other through their divine senses as they trailed behind the group. Maybe something happened here. In these past 10 days, this feeling has constantly been there, but both of us have been checking our surroundings and nothing has happened. I think that whatever it is not targeting the two of us. Forget it. This place is simply too strange. Once we are done with the matter at hand, it is best for us to leave as soon as possible. Every second we stay here is making it more difficult for me to breathe. It's as if there is a large mountain weighing down on top of me. There is even a feeling like I'm about to collapse, lose control, and kill someone. This is a feeling I haven't had since I reached the soul formation stage. The short old man's eyes lit up and then he quickly sent his message. Eh? You also have this urge to kill? When I was killing that beast earlier, I almost lost control of myself. Shafang, there is definitely something wrong here. Should we leave now? The old man named Sha pondered a bit, then he looked at the juniors before them and said, we have already gotten this far, and there are only 3 days left. There shouldn't be any problems, we just need to increase our speed. The two of them looked at each other. They remained silent and continued to rush to their destination. The people before them, including the soul formation old man, didn't notice the fear that the two soul transformation cultivators were feeling. They continued to feel that the journey was going very smoothly. The brilliant golden fruit isn't meant to be eaten, it is a material for refining treasures. This fruit can increase the power of any metal element treasure, and the more one uses, the stronger the treasure becomes. Rumor has it that the 4 illusionary swords behind Sword Saint Ling Qianhu of the Da Lu sword sect were refined with a large amount of brilliant golden fruits. However, the amount he used was beyond imagination, and that was how he refined those 4 peerless swords. The places where the brilliant golden fruit can grow are extremely unpredictable. The fruit is formed from natural metal element and is a heavenly treasure that can appear anywhere. Once this fruit begins to grow, it looks exactly the same as any other normal fruit, but once it matures, it suddenly changes and is filled with metal element. After it matures, the time before it falls off the tree varies greatly. It can be as short as a few breaths of time or as long as several months. There is no rhyme or reason behind the time it takes for it to fall after it matures, even to this day no one knows. Once the fruit matures, it attracts many metal element beasts, and these beasts become its protectors. The beasts guard the fruit until it falls, and once the fruit falls, the withered fruit's energy is absorbed by the roots, forming golden spirit roots. When a beast eats the golden spirit root, their intelligence is awakened, and they gain many benefits. However, if too many brilliant golden fruits are taken before they fall, the formation of the golden spirit roots is affected. If too many fruits are taken, the golden spirit root won't form at all. After the Da Lu sword sect people left, Wang Lin silently appeared on the mosquito's back. He looked toward where they were going and casually followed behind them. Due to the oppressive feeling that the two elders were feeling, the entire group was forced to move faster, so the normal 3-day journey was complete in 1.5 days. At this moment, Qian Qin, who had been leading the way, pointed forward and said, 2 months ago, Junior sect found the brilliant golden fruits there. Everyone's gazes followed the woman's finger. This location was where 2 mountains met, and between them was a valley. It was really quiet here, not a sound could be heard, and the ground was covered in leaves that gave off a rotting smell. Following her finger, they could see a faint, golden light coming from inside the valley, but there were many trees blocking the way, so it was hard to see exactly what was inside. After Qian Qin finished speaking, she took a few steps back and remained silent. The 2 Da Lu sword sect elders looked at each other. The taller one took a few steps out, his hand formed a seal, and he pressed his hand forward into the air. A thick amount of celestial spiritual energy suddenly gathered before him and blew toward the valley in a celestial gust. As the celestial gust flew across the area, the rotten leaves all disappeared, revealing what was underneath. All of the trees blocking the view were pushed apart by this celestial gust as well. A straight passage suddenly appeared before everyone. The end of the tunnel led deep into the valley. There was a ton of wild grass inside this valley, but everyone's gazes first fell to the eastern side of the valley. In the middle of an area covered in wild grass, there was a bunch of blooming, golden flowers. There wasn't just one golden flower but an entire field. There was at least a dozen of them, and they were all competing with each other to bloom. Below the flowers were oval-shaped fruits the size of a thumb. These fruits were golden and had countless granular spots on them. From a distance, they looked like grapes. They seemed very ordinary and not different from normal wild fruits. Brilliant golden fruit? It indeed is the brilliant golden fruit. The two elders' eyes immediately lit up once they saw the fruits. The two of them didn't immediately enter the valley but carefully checked it. Finally, their gazes landed on a bush of wild grass 1 meter from the brilliant golden fruits. There was a small pile of rotting leaves on top of that bush of wild grass. At first glance, there was nothing unusual about this. After all, these rotting leaves were very common here. At this moment, a strange wind blew through the valley, causing the grass to rustle. The grass rustled and all of the leaves inside the valley were moved by this gust of wind. However, it was these leaves flying into the air that caused everyone to suck in a breath of cold air. At the moment these leaves flew into the air, what was revealed on the backside of the leaves were countless red spots. Their red dots were motionless, it was as if they were growing from the rotting leaves. Nine multitude bug, the tall elder named Shafang said this with a gloomy expression and then looked toward the short elder. 100 brilliant golden fruits would naturally have fierce guardians. Having 9 multitude bugs here is nothing to be surprised about. However, dealing with these bugs requires bait. The short elder's eyes lit up as his gaze landed on Chen Qin and the white-robed man beside her, and he revealed a cruel smile. At this moment, no one noticed that a ferocious figure was floating 1,000 feet away from them, and it was watching them. On the back of the ferocious figure sat a person with an ice-cold gaze. His gaze was so cold that there was no hint of warmth coming from it. This is clearly the golden spirit root. What the heck is a brilliant golden fruit? I guess these people don't really understand how to use this treasure and believe that the fruit is the essence. They don't realize that compared to the golden spirit root, the fruit is really insignificant. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Although the brilliant golden fruit sounded unfamiliar to him, after seeing it, he was able to find it inside 2 size memories. This treasure was formed from the natural 5 elements, so it has existed for a long time and would naturally be in 2 size memory. The best way to use it was to devour the root. This would make his body even stronger. For a child ancient god, this treasure was a rare nutritional supplement. Wang Lin was pondering when he suddenly looked down at the mosquito beast. At this moment, there was a faint, milky white light coming from the mosquito. Its gaze was locked onto the brilliant golden fruits in the valley and revealed an expression filled with desire for the fruits. Wang Lin had an idea and then patted the mosquito's head. The mosquito turned around, and after seeing Wang Lin nod to it, its eyes quickly revealed an excited light. It quickly turned around and stared at the brilliant golden fruits. This time it revealed a must-have gaze. Could this fruit have some special use for the mosquito? Wang Lin's eyes faintly lit up. This video will end here.